Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's lunchtime briefing on the Three Peaks project. I'd like to introduce Kate Hilditch, the Area Manager for the Southern Dales, and Thomas Andrews, our Three Peaks Ranger. Hello. Kate and Thomas are going to give us a short presentation, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So I'll hand straight over to you both. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Just introduce a little bit about myself. I'm Kate Hilditch. I manage the rangers based in the south of the national park. So we have 8 staff working over, which was the Old Craven area of part of the park, and part of my remit is to manage the Three Peaks project. Thomas, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, I'm Thomas Andrews. I'm the Three Peaks Ranger. I started on the 10th of June 2024 in this role. This is my 329th day as the Three Peaks Ranger. Really love my job, feel really fortunate to be in the position I'm in. I just want to give everything I can to the role. And that's me.
Okay, back over to me. I've got a presentation, so I'm going to fly through a few slides and any questions at the end or in the chat, whatever, I'll try and pick those up as I go along if I can manage to sort the IT out. Could somebody just give me a wave if this presentation...
Got it. Yeah.
Got it. Good. Excellent. Oh, that's a good start. Excellent. All right. We can't really talk about the Three Peaks without going back to a little bit of basics and doing a little bit of a history on the route, because we've been working on the Three Peaks now for 40 years. This is the 40th year of the Three Peaks project. So in terms of background, I'm sure everybody knows where the Three Peaks are. Iconic bit of the Yorkshire Dales National Park, dominated by the peaks of Ingleborough, Whernside and Pennygent. A really popular destination for people to come and enjoy the outdoors. Obviously, part of that landscape is also really highly protected. 60% of the Three Peaks area is in either SSSI or National Nature Reserve. And, you know, that reflects some of the really sensitive habitats within the Three Peaks area. People have been coming to the Three Peaks for, you know, since Victorian times. The first ever recorded of somebody walking the Three Peaks in one go was in 1887. 2 local school teachers from Giggleswick walked the full route in one go, and that's kind of what I always think of as the start of the Three Peaks Challenge as we know it today. So people have been coming here for a very long time to, you know, walk up the Three Peaks. There's a long history associated with the Three Peaks, history that predates the National Park Authority or the National Park. By some key dates, 1954, the Three Peaks Fell Race was established. That's still going today. 1961, the Three Peaks Cyclocross, which is always an event to go watch. That's really interesting because it involves taking bikes up the Three Peaks. 1968, the Pennygent Cafe, for anybody who remember that, instigated a clocking in system for the Three Peaks. There was the Yorkshire Three Peaks Club. And then if we move through the sort of 90s and 2000s and up to today, it's a really popular destination for people to come. Often associated with people doing challenges, often associated with a growth in charity fundraising and large-scale charity events. But that popularity has come at a price. This is a photo from the 1980s looking at Pennygent. High visitor numbers obviously put a huge pressure on the upland path, particularly in the context of the fragile nature of the landscape. In 1986, the authority had a report done by the Institute of Terrestrial Ecology, and they gave the sad distinction to the Three Peaks of having the worst eroded paths in the United Kingdom. It recorded the routes across the whole, all Three Peaks, and had things like 21 kilometres of path were designated as severely damaged, with bare widths across those paths, and sort of up to 50 metres wide of damage to routes like that you can see on Pennygent. I think it's easy to forget, and it's something that I try and talk about a lot. If we look at the Three Peaks today, it's really easy to forget what things were like through the 80s and 90s. I'm going to show you a sort of series of slides. This is the summit, the sort of last summit up to Pen y Ghent. This slide was taken in the 1970s. I love this slide because of the red jumper and the knee-length socks, but it just shows a single route up to the summit. By the 1980s, same picture, the same location, you can see already we're starting to get an increase in erosion and more of that peat being exposed. And by the 1990s, this is where we're at. We've got a route with multiple braided routes going up to the hill and a large area of eroded peat towards the bottom. So go back to 1986, National Park Authority developed its first Three Peaks project. It was very much an experimental project looking at upland path restoration and creating sustainable routes, addressing erosion and preventing any further damage to the landscape. Up until that point, the approach had very much been a voluntary restraint, asking people not to come, but that by the mid-1980s, it was very much seen that we couldn't leave it any longer. So what we saw in 1986 was the first Three Peaks project. And as I say, it was very experimental, looking at new techniques, doing a lot of revegetation of eroded areas. And that was the start of a number of Three Peaks projects focusing on that restoration of paths and routes and the creation of sustainable routes for people to use. This one I always like to show people as well, of the type of things and the impact that work had on the Three Peaks. This is taken from Ingleborough looking towards Chapel-a-Dale, and we're looking down on an area of peat sensitive SSSI National Nature Reserve, and that black moraine mass is caused by people walking on that really sensitive habitat. This is a picture taken in 2000. Of exactly the same area. Down the middle, you see a line of what used to be called duck boards, timber boards that were put down to keep people on the route. And you can see by 2000 how that whole section of National Nature Reserve SSSI has recovered from the damage that had been previously caused. What you can also see is a line of flags, which the wooden boards had been in place so long that they were then starting to rot. So then, like a lot of the work on the Three Peaks, we have to find a new solution, a more sustainable solution. And what that path now is a completely flagged path and is still there today, keeping people off those sensitive habitats. What does maintaining the Three Peaks look like today? Well, we've got something in the region of about 35 kilometres of what we called engineered routes. So a route that we have previously done some work on to create those sustainable surfaces. Those sort of extendances, those paths are very much there to, firstly, I keep labouring the point, but they're there to create sustainable surfaces. We're not there to trying to make it easier. We're not trying to spoil anybody's enjoyment, but without those sustainable surfaces, you get that damage. It also allows the surrounding vegetation to recover and prevent further damage to the landscape. The original Three Peaks project that was set up in 1986 had a lot of external European funding. We had a large number of staff working on those projects, about 15 by 1987-88. There was about 15 members of staff working on the Three Peaks project. Today, what we have is maintaining the routes. We've got that ongoing commitment to maintain the Three Peaks routes. If you don't maintain them, they don't last. So we're constantly having to engineer and look at solutions on sections that we've not done work on previously. We also have to go back and re-look at sections that have had work done previously. This is a section, this is the very start of the Three Peaks route. If you're starting at Horton, it's a section called Brackenbottom. This is a before and after photo. The photo on the left shows some works that were done in early 2000s, possibly. The path at this point a lot of the walkers congregate because they're setting off together. It's very busy at this point. The path follows the wall. People had spread out, creating a huge erosion gully there. Various landscaping works and drainage works had been done, as in the left-hand photo. That then became so eroded itself, we had to create another solution. The works to the right started in 2022. And we've now finished that section of work. So again, we're always looking to new solutions, improving what we do, but obviously it all has to be done within a budget. So that's what maintaining the Three Peaks looks like today, and Thomas will talk about a little bit more what it's like to be the Three Peaks Ranger later on. But actually, the original Three Peaks projects were very much about path works, path enhancements. The current Three Peaks project is much more than that. It's much more than just maintaining routes. Obviously, we don't want to stop people coming. People are going to come and enjoy the Three Peaks. They've been doing that for decades. But we also recognise that, you know, we have a role in promoting best practice for people coming to walk on the Three Peaks. And in the face of declining funds across the authorities in the sort of around 2009, we moved towards a project, a Three Peaks project that looked towards getting the users to help contribute to the maintenance of rights of way. So it moved solely from footpath restoration to have the objectives of firstly creating a sustainable source of income, which supports the funding for the Three Peaks Ranger, who could then obviously undertake all that maintenance on the ground, but also promoting the understanding of the area's special qualities. So the area of work that we undertake to liaise with large-scale event organisers to address some of the issues, the visitor management issues around the Three Peaks. What the Three Peaks project isn't about advertising the Three Peaks. The Three Peaks has done a very good job in its own right, you know, attracting people to come to it. What this Three Peaks project does is ask people to donate to contribute to help towards maintaining the routes on the Three Peaks and promote the understanding of the area at the same time. So fundraising, what does it do? So aim of all our fundraising is to generate that sustainable source of income, which pays the Three Peaks Ranger's salary and vehicle hire and things like that. Thomas's role as Three Peaks Ranger very much focuses on the day-to-day, the maintenance of the drains, the fixing the stiles, protecting that investment in the routes. Annually, our target this year is 27,000. Is our target for this year. Over the years since 2009, it's raised about 400,000 over those years as it's built. How we raise the money? Well, the Three Peaks project team is a very small, discrete team within the authority. It involves myself, who manages the group, Thomas as Three Peaks Ranger, Mark Sadler as head of comms is on that group. So there's just a small group of people who manage this project, and we use a variety of ways to get income. We liaise with the organisers of large scale events and get them to hopefully get them to donate £1 a person. We've got some very positive relationships. For example, the Three Peaks Fell Race Association, they donate about £1,000 every year after their event. We also try and target the smaller groups and smaller walkers via our website and things like QR codes about helping to contribute to path maintenance. We have a lot of Three Peaks merchandise that we sell online and through our shops. That brings in increasingly significant proportion of our income. We have a Three Peaks app that's a paid for app, and then anything else that we can think of, generally things like on-site donation boxes and things like that. So we've tried a lot of different things over the year, but we don't have a dedicated fundraising officer. We try and promote, you know, wherever we can, traffic through our website and so people can just donate basically. Obviously that's the fundraising side of our project. in terms of the sort of promoting understanding bit of the project. I've just seen your question, Neil. I'll look at my list. I'll come to that back to that after Thomas if I can. So yeah, the promoting understanding question bit of the Three Peaks project. People who come to walk the route have a fantastic experience. They're doing it because they want to be out there. We estimate that there's about I can pull my numbers to pieces, but I estimate something in the region of 60,000 people come every year to walk the entire route. In terms of people walking individual hills, Pennygent last year was up to about 110,000 on Pennygent alone. So cumulatively, there's a lot of people coming to walk on the Three Peaks. What we do know from a survey we had done back in 2019 is that a lot of people walking the Three Peaks Challenge route, so walking it in one go, a lot of the time they're first-time visitors. We also know that they're significantly younger than people to National Park as a whole, and that's probably a link to how people engage with the Three Peaks in terms of how they walk it. So, they book on events or with guides, and accessing experiences that they don't probably do or have done previously themselves. We also know that a lot of people coming to the Three Peaks have an impact on the local visitor economy, and from the 2019 survey, I can't remember what the figure is, but the day spend of people visiting and coming to do the Three Peaks is higher than people coming to the national park as a whole. So yeah, Three Peaks, lots and lots of benefits, great experiences. And for people, I always think people who book on an event to, a charity event to raise money for somebody, in memory of somebody or something, a charity cause they're passionate about, and they get that joy of standing on top of a hill with friends or with people they know, is just a fantastic thing. But also, I don't think we can go through this whole sort of presentation without recognizing that the Three Peaks, it is a bit like Marmite. It brings a lot of things. You either like it, it brings a lot of issues, you either like it or you don't like it. Issues revolved around parking, similar to other areas in the national park. We have one car park at Horton that we manage that has spaces for 78 cars. Obviously, the Three Peaks, majority of people, because of how they walk the peaks, come by car, even though there is trains to different locations. So parking is obviously an issue. Impact on local residents is significant sometimes. Noise can be a problem. Other issues like litter and other countryside management issues like dogs, or the impact on landowners with gates being left open. I didn't really want to go through this talk and not recognise that there can be downsides to that. But what we do as a national park is we try and always promote the understanding about how can you walk the Three Peaks responsibly. The Three Peaks Code of Conduct was something we developed with Horton Parish Council a number of years ago, and it's just basic common sense advice aimed at users who are not maybe as used to being in the countryside as others. We promote that any way we can. Posters on the back of toilet doors, through our social media, leaflets to hand out. Any way we can, we try and get those messages out there. I work with the organisers of large scale events, and what I do is I get them to promote it through their participants. So we're trying to target as many people as we can. We have a lot of information on our website to try and tackle those individual walkers. People looking for information. I believe from Mark, it's one of the most visited bits of our website. People are looking for information on how they do things. So we try and very much get it out there, get information out there, how they can come and enjoy the area. We developed something a few years ago called the notification scheme. That was trying to address the smaller groups and individuals. If people register on our website to say they're doing the Three Peaks walk, they get a set of free guidance sent to them, and they get a code for our shop. They get the code of conduct sent to them directly, and that's been quite an effective way of sort of widening our reach, because obviously we just don't have the time to do that with every single individual person. Again, the app is pushing those visitor those messages about responsible behaviour. So if you buy the app, a lot of those messages about walking safely, know how to read a map, don't rely on your phone, closing gates, things like that are on the app for people to see. And we also do a lot of face-to-face engagement, whether that's through Thomas as a Three Peaks Ranger, or whether it's through our volunteers go out on site. We have regular activities for our volunteers who go pick litter, who talk to people, particularly around Ribblehead as a particular hotspot. And really, it's just about engaging people wherever we can. I've left this in to say what we don't do. This is a part of a presentation I do when I'm doing other presentations, and quite often I try and manage expectations because we're a small team, we can't do everything, we can't be there to sort everything out. So we always we don't dictate where people can't park, we don't have control over the parking. Obviously litter, we work wherever we can to promote responsible behaviour around some of those things. I am now conscious of time, and I'm going to hand over to Thomas just as a Three Peaks Ranger, because we just thought it would be nice to get a feeling for what it's like to actually be out on the Three Peaks. So I'll turn my mic off and
Okay, that was lovely. I enjoyed that. So I'm going to talk to you today firstly about infrastructure, if Kate can buzz the slide along. So the infrastructure on the Three Peaks takes an absolute beating. With thousands of people opening gates and closing gates weekly, it needs a lot of attention and maintenance. We as an authority do provide and install gates on behalf of landowners. The bolts rattle loose, the iron wears thin, it's in constant need of oiling and maintenance, quite often fully replaced altogether. In the short period that I've been in this role, I've grown to know the quirks of each gate and style. They're like living creatures to me. They're constantly changing and seeking my attention. You'd be surprised how much movement some of the gates move from season to season. As the weather commands the visitors' reactions passing through them, they tighten up in the summer and squeeze tight and jam up. The footfall wearing away the surfaces in the kissing gates, making it muddy little puddles, constantly need topping up and surfacing. When the rain falls, heavy and heavy as it always does, the cross drains are the lifelines to help expel the surface water from the paths. Filling up with silt and aggregate, sometimes overnight in heavy downpours, these constantly need our attention, clearing and maintaining to stop the path from flooding. This is an example. This is a picture of a cross drain. We go out and we clear those periodically with spades, pickaxes. They fill right up. If we don't do that, the aggregate just runs straight off the path. Next slide, please, Kate. The signage. Nice picture of the new signs. I like these signs. I had the chance to be involved in making some signs for the national parks, so I know how much hard work goes into making these. The Three Peaks signs have little metal discs on them which indicate the routes of the Three Peaks path off the generic paths that we follow. People seem to like them as much as we do, and they seem to disappear all the time. They're all like living creatures too, twisting and moving with the seasons. They take a beating in the weather and in the harsh environments that they're in. Sheep and livestock like to push on them and twist them over and bend them round, so they're not in the correct orientation, so they always need attention. Some are covered in lichen, so they all have a unique look. Without these signs, people would get lost all over the place. They're a beautiful little monument in the landscape, giving people direction throughout the Three Peaks journey. The path enhancements. I've only worked for the authority, like I said, for 2 years, and in this time I've had the privilege to work on some fantastic projects. because all the paths are that usually that worn out, they all need enhancing. The team, me and myself and the team, work together to identify the worst hit areas on the ground, and then we make plans and make a plan together and take it from there and work together. And I've lost where I am on my notes, sorry guys. Work with landowners and the local quarry, and then work out a plan on how best we can improve these paths. Luckily, we've got the local quarry, Horton Quarry, on our doorstep, so we can use the materials from there quite often. That's good. I really enjoy the path enhancement projects. It feels like we're helping serve the local communities and walkers, but mostly important, it's the preservation of the land and the surrounding areas. This is a picture of the Beecroft path that we did last year. This was linking up with the Settle Carlisle Railway link, the new bridge that goes over that. So we had to work with Network Rail, coordinating to meet with those. That was a good fun one to do. Volunteers, please, Kate. Volunteers, I really like working with the volunteers. I can't believe that these people give up all the time, not all the time, but some of the time weekly, to come out with me in torrential rain and wind and everything that Three Peaks can throw at them to help me clear the cross drains, maintain the paths. They're just brilliant people. I have some of my best days out with my volunteers, and really, really do appreciate them. And that's me wrapped up, really. That's me in a nutshell of what I get up to. I'll happily answer any questions. It might be a little bit easier for me than reading off this paper.
Oh, sorry, Lizzie.
Go on, Kate.
I'll just respond to a couple of the questions that came up. Neil, app income is about £6,500 last year from the app, which has been growing. Mark and Wendy and the comms team did a really good job a couple of years ago renewing that as an app, and it has been growing in sales, which is great, which is really good. Question also from Mark about walkers visiting at the weekends in terms of engagement. Do we have people around then? Yes, we do. Staff minimal because we have a rota and we tend to cover, we're covering sites and car parks over the weekend, but we have a rota of volunteers who do what we call access duties. So they're very much engagement duties and things like litter picking and taking an opportunity to talk to individuals and groups. They are not out every day and every weekend, and they're not out at 6 o'clock in the morning, but there is a regular programme of activities of volunteers at the weekend. Question from Derek on our relationship with local businesses, for example, Filkin Cafe. We are always working on trying to build good relationship with local businesses, particularly for us as a, to get their feedback on issues that they have and hear from them as local businesses, but also for us as an opportunity for us to disseminate some of our information, on our code of conduct and things like that. And since Thomas has been in place, I'll just stop sharing that screen. One of the things Thomas is doing, we've just had a review of all our resources and materials, some of our leaflets, and Thomas has got a target over the next 6 months to get out and build some of those relationships. So I'm hoping it's good, Derek, but I think we can keep building on that and growing it. And that's very much part of Thomas's role, because Thomas is essentially kind of we put Thomas out there as, the face of the Three Peaks. Not sure if I missed anything.
Thanks.
Sorry, Lizzie, I'll shush.
No, that's good. Thank you so much, Kate. And thank you very much, Thomas, for a really interesting presentation. It was clearly a really effective project, and the photos illustrate what real benefits has for the surrounding landscape. I'm not sure how much I like the 80s and 90s being sort of historic photos, though. It's a bit hurtful. You obviously put a huge amount of hard work into it, and I just want to say thank you very much on behalf of all the members for that. You covered quite a lot of questions. Derek, you had your hand up. Was there another question you wanted to ask?
Thanks. It was just a supplementary to Kate's response to mine about the local businesses. Just that I noted that the pub at Ribblehead by the station has had a new change of ownership, including being the people who've got the tan hill as well. And I just wonder how we're making a first relationship there, get in quick and bring them on board, or if they are hard-headed business people and not really interested, just want the money from the pints. But I know it's not a point on the route that people doing the 3 peaks in one day will do, but it will take a lot of people where there's the opportunity for creative education working with them. So it might be for in Tom's agenda for this year, but I just wonder what the thinking is there.
We saw the change in ownership. Thomas, I think, and I had a conversation last week about a good opportunity to go and introduce ourselves and say hello and see how we can work together.
Yeah, I'll pay them a visit, take them some information, and hopefully build a good relationship over a beer with them.
And maybe you get a bit of hospitality in return for a bit of mint cake, eh?
Thanks very much. Neil, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thanks, Lizzie. And I might join you on that trip to the which one is it, the Crown or the Lion, Thomas? Is it the
well,
Crown?
The Crown has new owners in Horton and
right.
Ribblesdale. I've met them. They're really nice people, really positive about the Three Peaks. They started last year, so it's been their first full summer season, so they're looking forward to that. But it's the station inn at Ribblehead that we were just talking about.
Right, okay.
There's the new owners of the on Tan Hill. Well, yeah, come along.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I will do. But yeah, just to say thanks for great presentations, both Kate and Thomas. And I'm going to have to start thinking of my own gates as living, breathing creatures as well, Thomas. It might give me a better understanding of.
Become symbiotic with them, and they'll treat you well.
It's good advice. Just a couple of questions though, just on. And one is about the road section, just whether we're still. I know tons and tons of work's gone on over the years to try and work with landowners to sort of bypass that road section. I just wondered if there's any progress on that, or whether that's a bit dead in the water. And then also just asking the question about train travel to the Three Peaks. There's obviously sort of two sites. Both at Ribblehead and at Horton, which is right on the route, and I just wonder how much work we put into sort of promoting train travel to the start and finish of the route. So, but yeah, thanks for your presentations.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take those in order. Road walking section, it's always been an issue, that road walking section up to Ribblehead. It's always been an aspiration if we could get it off the road, and over the years there's been various proposals and we've never managed to see that happen. We're always having ongoing conversations. We're resurrecting something currently, but it's very early stages, and but it's always something that we would aspire to. But yeah, like I say, there is something currently that we're just having a discussion with a landowner, but we'll see where that comes. So I don't really want to tempt fate on that one. Train travel, we try and promote through our information we put on the Three Peaks out that there's alternative, that the biggest impact most people have coming to the Three Peaks is their car. We try through all that material to direct people to stations, either whether that be Horton or at Ribblehead or whatever. The reality is, if the people are coming to do the walk as a day walk, the train travel times don't work because you don't have long enough hours. But obviously part of our messages around the Three Peaks is you don't have to come, and we recognise people want to do the challenge, but walk them individually. Do it slowly, come back, enjoy it, use public transport. It doesn't have to be done in a rush under 12 hours. One of the great things about the Three Peaks is everything it has to offer. It doesn't have to be a run. And what we do know about people who walk the Three Peaks for the first time is many of them come back. So in all the information we put out, we kind of direct people to that. This might have been your first visit, but come back again and enjoy. So we try and promote that. We try and put it as an option, but the reality is difficult. What we do and try and say almost is car share. Organise a bus if you're coming as a group, don't travel individually. So yeah, we do what we can.
Brilliant, thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. I was going to ask a follow-up question, but I can see Mark's got his hand up, so I'll come back to it in a minute. Mark, do you want to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, I put it in the chat. But first of all, thanks, Kate and Thomas. That was really good. Yeah, I remember some time ago, because of the pressure at Horton, I mean, residents were sort of revolting at one point. It got pretty bad. And there was then an initiative, I think I recall, to try to get walkers to start from other than just Horton. So, you know, at Ribblehead or Chapley Dale. Did that get anywhere as an idea? And are we still trying to promote other starting points rather than everyone congregating at Horton and the crack of dawn?
I don't know whether it was an initiative to say that I was ever aware of as such. I mean, the thing of Horton may be the traditional start of the Three Peaks, but people can start the Three Peaks anyway, and mostly that is determined where they can park. So I don't think within the information we promote any particular location as the starting point. I know some of the larger events have started organising over the past sort of 5+ years, organising their events based from the hill in Chapledale. Obviously there's the parking areas at Ribblehead as well, but there is also facilities that support the local community. For example, the overflow fields in Horton, you know, the landowner uses his permitted development rights there to allow people to park there. So I think for me, the Three Peaks and the parking, the availability of parking is one of the things that almost acts as a cap on how many people come. You know, whilst we have seen an increase in numbers over the years, wherever they park, there is only so many places people can park. I'm not sure I'm articulating that very well, but
I wonder if some of these big organisations could do sort of park and ride, you know, bus people in from outside of the honeypot of Horton or even Ribblehead.
Yeah, the majority of the large-scale event organisers have arrangements with private landowners for parking and facilities. So that's often on the fields in Horton next to the river, or on the playground at Horton, or arrangements up at Ribblehead. So they organise, and one of the things we say to organisers of large-scale events is, parking, toilet facilities, the infrastructure around your event needs to be sufficient for the number of people you've got coming on the event. So that's what we encourage the event organisers to do, to have that conversation with individuals. Don't rely on putting on an event and people just being able to turn up and park somewhere, because they won't be able to. They need that as part of their event planning, and any good event would have that in place.
Add to that, there, everyone I speak to on the Three Peaks has always started from a different location, so it doesn't seem like everyone's going from just Horton at the moment. It feels like people are going from all over the place, so it is quite widespread.
Thanks.
Thank you. Kate, I would just wonder, just as a follow-up from that, you said that you had success with some major organisers donating £1 a person. How common is it that the event organisers do that? Are they generally supportive, or are there some that are really keen to work with you and some that are a bit more reluctant?
I suppose over the years, large-scale events come and go. And I'd say of the sort of top 6 that are having really large numbers, sort of up to 1,000 people within one day, I think we are very successful. So think people like the British Heart Foundation we've worked very closely with, Alzheimer's organisation we've worked closely with, Cancer Research. But event organiser business is very you have a changeover in staff in those organisations very, very regularly. So whoever I spoke to this year won't be the same person I spoke to last year. So it's almost like I have to start again with that every year. We have some organisations, there's an event organised by BT, it's staff and family of BT that have been coming to the Three Peaks for like 20 years to do a charity event. It's always a June event. They've been donating for years and years, but it's a, you know, and they have maybe 500 or 600 people on it. So we have some good relationships with big organisations. What we saw a gap was a few years ago was that we weren't really addressing donations from smaller organisers, people who organise an event for their friends or their colleagues, people with 20 people on, 25, they were kind of falling through the net. So our notification scheme was supposed to be sort of a full circle idea that people registered for free. They had the sort of incentive if they get some guidelines and some advice and a code for some discounts in the shop. They get an email with all that information, and then after the event they get an automatic email that says, I hope you had a great time on the Three Peaks, but don't forget us, can you donate after your event? And so once the system's set up, it doesn't take much, there's no staff input on that. So I think we've got better over the years at sort of targeting smaller scale things. And Thomas does a great job on the ground. You know, he's handing out business cards left, right and centre to anybody he talks to about how you can donate, because the old, you know, pound in a donation slot, those days are gone. You know, it's how people can access things online. I mean, donations of the income we have, I just look at my sheet here, donations probably relate to 50% of the income we have. So last year we raised about £30,000, about £20,000 that was of donations. And sometimes that depresses me, because I think of the numbers of people. If you think of 100, you know, 100, well, what, 60,000 people I estimate walking the Three Peaks every year. If every single person gave £1 and gave back in that way, we wouldn't, you know, have the funding problem. Because I can't remember whether I've said within this, the Three Peaks project raises sufficient funds to pay for a member of staff to undertake the day-to-day maintenance. What it doesn't do is raise those really big chunks of money we need to do the path enhancement projects. The project that we've got on our in our sites as our priority in the future is a project on what we call the allotment, which is a section of path from Ingleborough Summit back towards Horton. That project, we estimate about £400,000 to undertake that project. So they're big projects with big money, because doing none of this work on the Three Peaks is cheap because of the inaccessibility and the cost of materials and things. So the Three Peaks project has been really, really successful at engaging with events, but sometimes the scale of, if everybody just gave £1 would be fantastic.
That's the dream. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Thank you very much. Oh, this is so interesting. I could keep going all day. Dan, would you like to ask your question?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I'm a very frequent visitor to the area, so it's interesting to hear your guys' opinions on it. I was just wondering that I see other parks talking about an increase in visitor numbers to these kind of hotspot areas since the pandemic, and a concurrent worsening of behaviour or an increase in antisocial behaviour. And I wondered if that is reflected in your experience, and if not, are there maybe some lessons learned for other parks? Because speaking to rangers from the Lake District, Peak District and Loch Lomond and the Trossachs, they've had some interesting stories, but yeah, I just love your opinion on that, basically.
Okay, so in terms of numbers are going up, but not massive. The numbers on the Three Peaks don't indicate a huge leap in numbers. So for figures in front of me, we've seen biggest increases on Pennygent. So that's kind of gone from what used to be sort of 6 years ago in the sort of 80,000 region to now being about the 110,000 region, which is our biggest leap. Our numbers across what we estimate doing the Three Peaks as a whole has gone up over the past 6 years from about 50,000 to about 60,000. So increasing. And the other figure I always come back to is when you do manual counts on individual days, the maximum number we get, and it's always Saturdays in either June or July, is around 2,000 a day walking the Three Peaks. And it's almost like the infrastructure in the Three Peaks area doesn't support more people coming per day. But what we have got is people coming over a longer season. It always used to be Saturdays. We're seeing more people on Fridays, either on Fridays or Sundays and during the week. So we're having not individual numbers on days increasing, but over the season we are. In terms of behaviour, it would only be anecdotal in terms of any feedback I could give you on that. Litter is always an issue. Individual instances, and there has been times when the press and media around the Three Peaks and the impact that has had on the local community is really, really difficult and challenging. But quite often those headlines are only headlines, and trying to get into the depth of of how difficult they are. But obviously, you've got large numbers of people arriving early, doing that walk, impact on landowners with that number of people coming, it's going to have impact. Obviously, like I say, we try to do what we can to promote. I don't think we have the similar issues that Cairngorms and the lakes have. We don't have particularly wild camping issues. We don't, in the Three Peaks, we don't particularly have issues with barbecues in that area. Potentially in other areas, but not necessarily around the Three Peaks, I wouldn't said in terms of behaviour. But yeah, there are challenges, but there are no silver bullets with any of those things.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. David, you're up next.
Thank you. Great presentations. Thank you, both of them. I'm just going back to the trying to get people to use the train. Is there any specific liaison with Northern about trying to publicise the routes? I just had a quick check. There's a 6 o'clock from Skipton in the morning. It comes back at 10 o'clock at night. I don't know about going north back to Carlisle way. Is there any specific work being done with Northern to publicise the train? And secondly, could that be put on the publicity? Look, you can take the train at this time, you can get back at this time, make it easy, because people are very lazy about this. Probably inclined to go, well, there's probably no trains into the middle of Dales. So just wondered.
I was going to say, Elliot, is that one you want to come to?
Yeah, I can take it. So I did ask that question because I wasn't actually, I put a question in the chat because I wasn't actually that sure about all the arrivals and departure times, but you've done a bit of research whilst we've been talking. And as you say, it sounds like it's possible on some days, but then it may not be possible on other days. And, you know, that uncertainty for walkers is something, you know, people that doing the challenge, they'll be looking for a bit more certainty. So I think, yeah, I think it's something we have got a link to Northern, and we've also got a link through in fact, we're hopefully there's time for us to have a chat with the mayor from North Yorkshire Mayor tomorrow at Horton, where he's actually opening the new, or well, not so new bridge, but completion of that bridge at Horton, and we'll be talking about the Three Peaks with him there, and obviously some of the stuff that Thomas and Kate do. And so I think there is a chance for us to just talk about transport in that context and about the issues around people visiting by car. So I think, yeah, there's allied to a few different things, whether it's to do with Garsdale Hawes, that's another, you know, the development of that as a route and the opportunity for people to be able to come to Garsdale and then use that, you know, in the fullness of time if we've got that route established. So I think there's definitely scope. It's not easy. It's quite a slow process of trying to get agreement from the train operating companies to bring additional stock, rolling stock into being and on particular lines, but it's something we're definitely working on. It does get mentioned almost at every meeting we have with them.
Right, thanks.
Sounds like a great opportunity, Elliot. Looking forward to hearing how you get on. Derek.
Yeah, a different perspective. We've concentrated, and I think quite rightly for this, on the route of doing the Three Peaks and managing that and handling it. But equally, in that big parking area by the viaduct, there's a lot of short-term half-day visitors who come and go. They might do a little walk. They're the ones that have a different approach to a day out. It might be mobility issues. It might just be that they're not fantastically engaged in the same way as the walkers and the runners are. And I just wonder, Kate or Thomas, what we do to reach out to them, to manage that area, or to engage with them about the environment they're in, natural environment and the heritage environment, or whether that doesn't fall into your compass, but maybe there is scope elsewhere. Open question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a a good answer that's not a bit waffy, Eric, because sometimes these things become a bit like that, don't they? Ribblehead is a particular hotspot in a sense that it like you say, it attracts a number of visitors. One of the major issues we have and get complaints every week is people come with their dogs, let their dogs mess everywhere and they don't clean it up. Ribblehead is like the worst bit in the national park, so a different dynamic of visitors. I think we do engage with all types of visitors, whoever they are at Ribblehead, and that is probably reliant mostly on our volunteers being out and about and talking to people. Obviously, that area of land is in, whilst it's a common, it's owned by the Ingleborough estate, has various tenants. Obviously, we work with those to do what we can, whether that be advisory notice on bird breeding season and keeping dogs under close control. But some of the parking issues and things around there are quite do fall outside our remit, whilst we've taken a very active role over, well, I've been here a long time. Since 2000, we've taken quite an active role, but as there's potentially issues around how that area is managed, as a place that people go that is beyond our scope.
Okay, I understand it. I wouldn't say I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with your answer from your team and projects perspective, but I think, Elliot, that is an acknowledgement that in the middle of what we've got as the route going round, there is this little place that has the same issues that we're faced with in places like Burnsall and Grassington at times, and maybe even Mallington.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. I mean, obviously, Kate explained to me and Thomas when I went out with them last year, and Alan did in probably my first few months, and we went to look at that area around Ribblehead, and he'd explained how the Stories in Stone, the landscape partnership, had done some work to improve that, and obviously that involved in the authority and assisting the Millennium Trust in delivering that work, and that still continues. There's still a requirement for the authority to maintain those, and there has been some improvement of the parking area there that's been done recently, isn't there, Kate? So it is being managed. It is being trying to be addressed in terms of making sure that it's kept in as good a state as we can keep it with the resources we have available. There's also, and Kate, I don't know what stage it's at, there has been a landscape recovery initiative, so that's through the environmental land management schemes that the government have been supporting, which was being led by the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust, and that was looking again at some of the access issues around that area as well, if I recall rightly, Kate. So, but I don't know where that's got to yet. So it just feels like there's maybe an opportunity to talk about that a little bit more, about how we manage visitors in that area.
Yeah, just picking up on that, Elliot. Yeah, the involvement in managing some of them parking in there. We've actually gone back to 2000. We did a project in 2000 with the Millennium Trust managing those areas, based on the fact that area is a scheduled monument, and a lot of the cars and vehicles and camping. When we did have a problem with wild camping and fires up there, it used to be a bit of a festival site at Ribblehead. That we did a lot of work to protect the scheduled monument around there. We did a subsequent project in about 2013 under Stories in Stone, and we've got, like Elliot said, that ongoing commitment to there. In terms of the landscape recovery project, the Three Dales project, I've not seen the outcome of that. It identified Ribblehead as an area that, similar to previous reports, has got some of those issues around it, but I haven't seen their access plan, and I suspect, from having spoken to Tim at the Wildlife Trust, that it might not be as far reaching as it could be, because it's limited. The landscape recovery land is looking at the sort of land management options rather than just solely the visitor management around that area.
Yeah, it'd be worth keeping tabs on that though, so that we if there's a complementary bit of activity that we can develop, matching funding with one another, with something around the landscape recovery, if there's investment going into other aspects in terms of nature recovery, but there's maybe scope to go elsewhere to find money to deal with some of the visitor management issues there. So yeah, so just be one to keep an eye on.
I'm coming towards the end. We've got about 6 minutes left. A question, if I may, about climate and nature. The route and the maintenance of the route clearly has huge benefits for the health of the peatland, and in introducing people to the special qualities of the national park. But I just wondered how is climate and nature in your minds as you're managing the route and communicating the positive benefits of the work that you're doing to the general public?
So two bits that in my mind. The first one is the impact of sort of climate change on what we're looking at in terms of path maintenance. I've been in this post for 10 years, and my vision within my own head is that we have to make these routes under Three Peaks as sustainable as we can, that withstand maintenance, and that we don't have to go back every 2 or 3 years with a helicopter and surface them, because we can put as much aggregate on the top of the Three Peaks as we like, but it's always going to want to wash downhill, so we have to look to solutions like flagging that not always likes, because once that initial investment has been done, we can then always maintain it. We've got that surface up there. It's not going to wash away. So, but that comes at a cost, which is why projects like the allotment, come in at £400,000, because we're aspiring to that highest level resilient path that we can produce on the Three Peaks. And people within this team, we have a lot of experience, and techniques have changed over the years. So we try our best. So that's the first bit in terms of the climate change. I think it's something Thomas and I and the other rangers talk about, the sort of how we communicate what we do and link that back to the importance of nature and landscape and our delicate communities. Those pictures I showed you of the 1980s, I deliberately try and show people because people have forgotten what it's like, that if we don't do that maintenance, if Thomas isn't out there maintaining those culverts and cross drains, then we will see a return to the sort of large scale landscape impact that we had in the 1980s. For those who remember at the time, if you stood and looked at the side of Whernside, there was a huge scar. One of the first jobs when I started here was we sprayed a binder, a glue and seed on it to try and re-establish vegetation, and it's huge. You can see it from miles and miles away. Now, I don't want to see a return to that, and I think trying to make that link in in what we do is, it all looks great now, but if we don't do it, we will see that return to damage some of those really fragile habitats like the triple SIs, like some of the peat bogs and things like that. So I'm not sure that's answered the question, but that's where I've become quite passionate about. Let's not forget what we've done and why we do it. It may look we struggle now. Doing the work on the Three Peaks is like the Forth Bridge. It never stops. You're always having to do something. So yeah, we're just trying to do what we can, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really important and easy to just see it as it is and think that's just the way it is. So great to see your photos of what has happened in the past. I'm very mindful of time. Thank you so much, everyone, for your brilliant questions, and Kate, Thomas and Elliot for your even more brilliant answers. They've been really comprehensive and really interesting. I genuinely feel like I could sit and keep firing questions at you all afternoon, because it's such an interesting and important piece of work. But it is very nearly 1:30. So on that, we'll say thank you very much and bring the session to a close.